to another episode of the Fanzone Podcast. Your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to another episode of the Fanzone Podcast. It's the preview, episode 48. Just before we get going, apologies for the delay. I've had a couple of technical difficulties this morning. It's always the joys of being a live show. We get them basically every other week, so I'm sure you're not surprised by now. It's a Saturday morning, and we're doing a preview. I think we've basically ticked off every day of the week over the last few weeks because of the mad Christmas, New Year schedule. But today it's for good reason. We've got a lovely special guest from Exeter City. It's from the you don't know what you're doing podcast. It's Jon Beer. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, Ben. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, recent results could have been better, but you know, we're still there supporting our team, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
As you can probably tell as well, my voice is on the verge of going. I think that's a mixture of screaming at the players on Saturday. On what day was it? Wednesday? I've no idea.
Yeah, all the days feel like one, don't they? This period of time.
Yeah, they do. God knows what's happening. It is Saturday morning and it's Exeter away, so whoever's going to the game is probably well on their way. And I've seen quite a few that went down last night. If you are, fair play. I know it's not something I'd want to be getting up doing on a Saturday morning. What about 4 or 5 a.m. it will have to be to get down to Exeter. But fair play, everyone that's going. Massive congratulations. So without further ado, let's jump into it. The season so far. So, John, Exeter City, how do you think your season has gone so far? Give us the rundown.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy season, really. I think overall we've done really well to sort of regain balance, if you like, because last season was a bit all over the place as well. We went, I think, 100 days without winning last season. We obviously had the horrible result to you guys up at your place, which was 7-0, I think it was. It was absolutely horrible. I was there that day. So since then, we've actually managed to sort of like regain some balance, like I said before, and sort of put together a good little squad that can probably compete sort of nearer the top end rather than the bottom end, like we have in sort of recent seasons, or sort of middle of the pack. But we sort of want to break into that top 10, and we've been good at times this season. I think there's a pretty bit, not a big divide, but there is a split between our fans. Some people want Gary in, some people want Gary out. I think that's just always going to be the case in football. But overall, we've had a really quite successful season, I would say. I think we're punching above our weight. I think being in League One, we're punching above our weight already. But the fact that we're competing, we've obviously beaten some of the bigger sides in the division. Obviously yourselves early on in the season, trying to bring that back up. But Rotherham, and we've actually put in some pretty convincing performances. Again, there's been some poor ones, like there is going to be throughout in any season. But I think it's more positive. There's a more positive outlook on this season than there has been in any other League One season, which is great. Yeah,
I mean, there's no getting away from. I think in my predictions at the start of the season, I think I did have you in the bottom 4, to be fair, which I maybe a oversight on my part. But I just one of them, when you're a fan-owned club, there's not a huge amount of investment, and you lost a few players over the summer, and obviously you had a good end to last season, but Gary Caldwell wasn't fully, didn't have the full support of all the fans. It could go either way, really, but I've been impressed by, especially the way you played at our place, completely did us over. And I've been impressed by some recent results. I mean, the last 4 games, you've won 2, drawn 1, lost 1, haven't you? And the one you lost was on Wednesday. It was a 94th minute penalty by none other than Aaron Morley. So have you been more impressed recently?
Yeah, I think we had a horrible spell of games. We had Birmingham, Wrexham, Stockport, all one after another, which are all really difficult games. Yeah. And I think it's easy. I can understand from the fans' perspective why you would get frustrated in that, because we were completely played off the park in pretty much all of those games, especially Wrexham. I was really surprised by how good Wrexham were. Every set piece was brilliant. They were just great. But after that, we had a bit of a easier run, if you like. We did really well against Bristol Rovers on Boxing Day, which was sort of like the start of this kind of run that we had. And then, we were 4-1 down to Crawley at half time, and you're thinking, are we back to sort of what it was like at times last season? And then we come back to draw that 4-4, and then putting up, from what I heard, a really convincing display against table toppers at the time, Wycombe, and sort of, like you said, lost to a 94th minute penalty, which, I'm not a bitter person, but it wasn't a penalty. It was handball by the Wycombe player first. So look, football goes against you. I'm a firm believer that it balances out over the course of the season. But yeah, recently we've been great. We've got players coming back from injury, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on in the show. But yeah, we just look a little bit more confident in ourselves. I think we got a little bit shaken by that horrible run against, like I said, Birmingham, Stockport, Wrexham. But yeah, we've looked much better in recent weeks, and I'm personally really optimistic that we can finish in a really good position and hopefully have the best Exeter City side that there's ever been.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned you've been through a bit of a bad run this season. Obviously, you did last season as well, but the board stuck behind Gary Caldwell, which most clubs wouldn't have done, and he turned it around, and it was a brilliant end to last season. And you've come out of a bit of a difficult run this time and gone on a bit of a decent run. Are you happy with the board's decision to back him even through bad runs? And it sounds like you're behind him. So
yeah, probably much to my own sort of misery, I guess, because I think a lot of City fans are quite vocal on Twitter, especially. I think we're considered. I wouldn't agree with it, but we're considered our pod's considered sort of happy clappers, and we're always just happy to get behind anybody. But I genuinely do think that Gary is the best manager we've had in my lifetime in terms of the way we play. I mean, I can't quite wrap my head around sometimes what people expect of Exeter City. I think there's this expectation because we've been relatively successful in recent years in the sense that we've been winning quite a lot of games in League Two, and then we went up, and then we did well in League One. And there's always this constant strive for progression, which is great. It's really healthy. But I think at times there's also this element of like, you need to remember who we are, who we're competing against, the budget that we have. And I think when you put all of that into perspective, I think Gary's actually a borderline miracle worker, because the squad he's put together, the people he's managed to attract. I mean, we have 4 or 5 fully fledged internationals that play for their country when they're fully fit. We have players that are really exciting to watch. Young players. I mean, we've always had in recent years we've had a really brilliant academy. We've got players coming through, and hopefully one that will play today, and Jake Richards, who I think will go and play at the top level, will play in the Premier League one day. So we have such an exciting mix of players. Ryan Woods, loads of experience. Josh McGuinness, loads of experience, can score goals at this level. So to have players like that, I'm watching them week in, week out, thinking there's not many other managers that would get this kind of squad with the budget that we have. So I think maybe a sense of grounding needs to be had for some City fans, but I think the majority are genuinely impressed and happy with where we are. And I think, like I said, we've had Gary on the pod recently, and he's on the brink of having the best Exeter City side that there has ever been, because our highest ever league finish is 8th in League One. So look, I really think it's possible, and I'm really happy with where we are currently.
Nice. It's nice to hear, yeah. So you did mention a couple of injuries and players coming back from injuries. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Just before we do get into it, just want to say a nice morning, good morning to all our channel members, Ian, David, Pete, David again, and good morning to everyone else who's joined us. It's Saturday morning. What are you doing watching us? I'd still be in bed, really. But so I can't, fair play to everyone in the chat. So, John, how are you on the injury front?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's just us. It must be every team, but it always seems to be the case that we've got loads of injuries, or it feels like we have loads. I mean, I went to Boxing Day, and our whole back line was completely different. We didn't have a single player from our starting back line. And actually, I don't know whether that's worked for better or for worse. We've actually sort of found a back line now that works better than what we had before. We've got a relatively young player, not too young, but relatively inexperienced in Jack Fitzwater, who will probably play today, who's sort of just come on leaps and bounds since Piers Sweeney's injury. He's been brilliant. He's stepped in and been amazing. We've got Tristan Crabber, who's, I think, been arguably one of the best defenders in the league this season. He's gone really under the radar. He's vital for a lot of the goals we score from set pieces. We beat Charlton 1-0 from a set piece that he scored, and we obviously equalised against Wycombe on Saturday before going on to lose the game from a header that he's had. So he's come back from injury for the Wycombe game, so he'll probably be playing again today. Hopefully Jack Aitchison will be back. I think he's a massive player for us. I'm not sure whether he'll be fully fit, but he's so pivotal to the way we play. But then again, we've had people come back from injuries like Caleb Watts, who's on a short-term deal with us, probably done enough to earn a longer term contract. He's been fantastic and stepped in and was, by the sounds of it, one of the best players on the pitch on the weekend. So I think that's where we're different from last season. Where we had injuries last season, we came and played you guys. We had a defender up front, lost 7-0. I think we've had we've got a lot more squad depth this season in the sense that we can sort of bring in someone that's, if not as good, better, and or can step up to the challenge. So we've obviously got long-term injuries like John Leofeco, who's, in my opinion, our best defender, but has been out for large periods. Vincent Harper, who I don't know if any of the Bolton fans would have seen his goal against Crawley. It sort of went semi-viral. It's unbelievable. Cutting on his weaker foot. He's never hit a ball so sweet. So he's back. Looks in fine form. So we've got players going back that are really helping us and adding to the squad, which is not something we've had again for many years at City, which is, I think, is testament to Gary.
Yeah, and I mean, as you say, I feel like every single fan comes on here saying we've got a long list of injuries and we're the same. So I think it's just the nature of League One football over the last couple of years that everyone has a long injury list. Someone you haven't mentioned who'd come back from injury a bit recently after about a year out was Demi Mitchell, who, I mean, I follow on Twitter myself, quite entertaining to be fair. Obviously, former Man United player, Premier League footballer, played a bit in the Scottish Premiership as well. And he obviously scored the last-minute equaliser, didn't he, against Crawley? What's the general feel around him? Because whenever I see him, he seems to obviously have that technical level above the level. What's the feeling around him? Do you think he can make it back up into, say, the Championship and maybe even the Premier League? I don't know. Yeah,
it's so easy to forget about Dimmy because he's sort of been in and around the squad for quite a few weeks now. Maybe not. I don't think he sort of said in his interview after the Wycombe game or after the Crawley game that he just feels like he's back to full fitness and back fully playing. And like you said, he was just shy of a year out. He is, on his day, clearly a level above League One, but that's kind of why he's playing for us, because he has that risk of getting injured. And I think actually, had he not got injured in the season that he did, he would have gone on in January and gone and played in the Championship because he was on fire at the start of that season. So to have someone again like that, of that quality, coming in, and he signed a deal at the start of the season, so he obviously wants to stay here, and I think he's quite happy with the faith that the club have shown in him, in the sense that we offered him a new deal as soon as he got injured, and we were there to support him. So he scored the equaliser against Crawley last, I don't know when it is now, the dates are all sort of mixed up. Not New Year's Day, but the game before. So he's, like you said, he's definitely got the ability to play at a level above. I just think he needs to get a good, consistent run of games in. And and that's where, again, I touch back to, I'm looking at our squad and I think, I don't know how we've got some of the players we have, because these players, I mean, with the budget we have, should not be playing at Exeter City, I don't think. But we have those players and it's a joy to watch. I think Ryan Woods is another one who, when he's not playing, we miss massively. And I think when we stayed up last season, I think we only lost 3 of the games he played in, which was ridiculous. And it was a massive reason why we actually stayed up comfortably. So we've got loads of players like Dimmy, like Ryan, who probably wouldn't be with us if they were, not fully, if they're fully fit all the time. So, I think Dimmy is a massive part of our squad. And now that he's got a consistent run of games in him, hopefully he'll start pulling more stuff out of the bag like he did against Crawley.
Yeah, nice to hear. I mean, hopefully not this afternoon, but, after that, hopefully he has a good season. So there's our injuries. There's Exeter's injuries. But in terms of Bolton's, it's basically as you were. I think it was before the Mansfield game, Carl Dempsey was announced that he's done his hamstring again. So best case scenario, he's out for a couple of months. Worst case scenario, he's out for the season. It's a massive shame because he's a huge player for us at the start of the season. But he's just injury prone. He's just constantly injured. I think it might be one of them that kind of signals the end of his Bolton career, which is a massive shame because on his day, he's one of our best players. Owen Toll as well. He came back for the Lincoln game, came off after 60 minutes, thought he was just precautionary, then didn't play against Mansfield. And there's rumours of maybe he's done his hamstring again. I'm not too sure. Pretty sure Mark Howe said he needs to be, Everett just said he's going to be wary with him. So I'd be surprised if he plays again today. And in terms of everyone else, I think Adebayo's been missing from the last few squads with an illness. I mean, there's been rumours over the last 2 or 3 transfer windows that he's off to Turkey. So we'll see if that's got anything to do with it. But apart from that, unless I'm missing someone obvious or another long-term injury, I think we're pretty much okay. Obviously, Baxter as well went down for 2 or 3 minutes against Lincoln, but without a keeper on the bench, he carried on and then didn't play against Mansfield. He was on the bench where Southwood played, but I would imagine if Baxter's fit, he'll be back in today. So yeah, we'll see. And obviously, the big one is not an injury, but is Aaron Morley, who obviously you played against last game, scored the winner.
Yeah.
Very likely to be, well, he's going to be involved today. Ever said that? I would imagine he probably wouldn't start because he's only had one training session with us, but I'd imagine he'd come off the bench and maybe another last minute penalty. We'll see.
Hopefully not.
Well, there's our injuries. Let's get on to the pub watch. Yeah, so as I said before, I imagine all the Wanderers fans, all the mad Wanderers fans that are making a trip down today have set off very early this morning or even last night, if the ones are last night and they're up having a nice relaxing brew or breakfast watching this and they're ready to go to a pub, or there's any local Bolton fans that are thinking about where to go. John, where is there for away fans?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I am a massive fan of the Imperial in Exeter. I don't know if anyone is, if any Bolton fans are aware. You've probably done the trip before. Brilliant Wetherspoons. I think it was one of the first ones built in the country. It's got a brilliant sort of semi-glass window. It's massive. It's fantastic. Obviously, nice cheap pints, which is great. I would also encourage any Bolton fans to go check out the ground. There's a new fan zone there where I'm sure more than welcome Bolton fans are to go and drink there and do that. There's a couple of pubs near the ground, sort of Duke of York. I'm not sure sort of what the restrictions are in terms of like away fans going in or whatever, but I'm in Exeter. It's normally pretty welcoming to everybody. So yeah, those are a couple of the ones I'd go to. But yeah, the Imperial's sort of close enough to the ground to be able to walk it and have a nice couple of cheap pints and also enjoy an actual lovely pub to actually be in and spend time because it is a fantastic building. So yeah, those are my three, I would say.
Brilliant. There we have it. And also, I mean, the weather is fine here. There was a couple of worries of last night, and I saw a couple of weather warnings over the UK about snow and stuff. I think we're okay. How is it over there, John?
Well, I'm actually not in Exeter, so I couldn't tell you what the weather's like down there.
Right.
But from what I've heard this morning, it seems fine. It's probably a little bit windy like everywhere else, a little bit cold, so wrap up, but should be fine.
Brilliant. Yeah, so no one's going to make a long trip and it be cancelled. Hopefully. No guarantees.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see. So there we have it for the pub watch. It's now down to prediction time. So it's time for What's the Score? Obviously, the reverse fixture was a 2-0 win for Exeter at the Tough Sheet Community Stadium. I do remember you saying before that you'd snap your hands off for a point. And yeah, obviously took all three. Fair play, 2 goals in. I think it was goal in the first half and one just after half time. And then kind of weathered a late storm to see out a clean sheet and a good win. So, John, how do you see it going this time?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic today. I don't know what's running through me today. I'm normally the most pessimistic City fan ever. You know, like I say, snap your hand off for a point. But I don't know. I really fancy us at home. The thing is, our pitch isn't really held up very well this season, which I don't think helps us at all because we want to play football. I think you'll see it at your place. We played some really nice stuff, pretty free-flowing when it works. So it's quite frustrating. I think it will probably be a little bit more direct from us today. But obviously, you guys are a good footballing side as well. So hopefully it will work to our advantage that you probably can't play too well. Don't get me wrong, the pitch isn't horrendous, but it's just not how probably you'd want it to play the style that we play and you play. So I'm going to go 2-1 Exeter. I'm confident. I want to be confident.
Right, nice. Okay, fair play. I mean, in terms of two performances at the Tough Sheet like a year apart, probably not been more polarising than the two Exeter performances I saw. Obviously, the 7-0, I mean, unfortunately, I was away for. I think it was the only home game I missed last season, obviously. It was a 7-0 win. Obviously, I watched the game back and, no offence, he looked absolutely hopeless. It was not sometimes you get a team where they batter the team and it's a case of they have basically 7 chances, you score them all, and the team misses a few chances. I think you had one shot in the game. I think it was basically kind of a miss hit from the edge of the box, something like that. But I mean, obviously, you had injuries, you had Chet Diabate up front, so I don't think there was much hope going into the game. But then, obviously, the return fixture this year couldn't have been more impressed. I was expecting for you to come and sit in a block. I know you mentioned before that you played some nice football, but most teams do come and try and just sit and let us play. and say come on and break us down. But no, I was really impressed. He was high pressing, really good on the ball, and obviously scored two pretty good goals. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect because, I mean, obviously the game last year as well away at Exeter was the most Jekyll and Hyde performance of all. I think the first half it was basically all us. We went into half time 1-0 up, thinking, we probably should be more than one here, and then straight away Sonny Cox scored 2 in about 5 minutes after our time, and all of a sudden we're 2-1 down, and then it could have been 3 or 4-1 to you, and then we scored a late equaliser. So it's going to be a tough game, as you say. If the pitch isn't great, we're not going to be able to play our best stuff, although we haven't been playing our best stuff for a few months now. So I am always positive, and I'm going to go with David. I'm going to go with 2-1, as he said in the chat. We've had a few different results. We've got a 1-0 from Daniel, 2-1 Bolton, a 2-1 Exeter from Heskey, who I sit with at the match. Good morning, Heskey. Positive as always. A 2-0 Exeter from Ian, and a 2-1 Morley winner from David, as we mentioned before. I think not all. I think some of us would like that here. But anyway, thanks for joining us, John. It's been lovely. Thanks for giving up your Saturday morning. Thanks for everyone for watching. Obviously, this has been sponsored by Loving My Socials. If you want anything social marketing wise, get on Leanne. She's brilliant. She's great at what she does. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Anyone that's local or has headed down last night, safe journeys to the match. Anyone that's going there, probably halfway there. Hope you're all good getting there, and hope you enjoy yourself in the Exeter away end. And for any Exeter fans watching, good luck for the rest of the season after today. Thanks for joining us, John.
Cheers, Ben. Thank you.
No worries. See you later.